get this all set up real quick. Do, do, do. All right. Let me just do some of these. All right. Hello. How you doing? All right. Good to see that that works. Boom. Let's get straight into it. We're looking at the Packers versus the Bears here. Week 11. All right. Obviously, Bears coming off a sad loss against the Patriots did not play well at all. Let's look more into this game here. Does it just go to film? It does. That's annoying. Packers obviously lost to the Lions last week, so two teams coming off a loss, battling out here. We got NFC North rivalry, I believe. Um, Looking here though, I believe the Packers here are coming off a bye, so that's big for them in their health, obviously. I think this game though, something I'm really interested to see is how Jordan Love fares against this number one Bears passing defense. I think he'll be fine, honestly. I think that there's definitely a good chance here we see a couple of interceptions, by how he's been playing for the whole year. Um, but yeah, I mean Christian Watson coming back finally. Hopefully he'll have a bigger role. Um, and I mean looking at the Bears here, obviously Caleb Williams. I mean this whole season really has been ups and downs for him for sure. I really hope that he does, get it figured out with his offensive coordinator. DeAndre Swift has looked great for basically ever since week two, really. He's been looking amazing. DJ Moore, I think that he'll continue to get more of a role as long as Caleb Williams and his situation gets better. Thoughts on Caleb Williams? I think he'll be all right. I'm still rooting for him, obviously, because he was the first pick, and I think that he does have a lot of talent. But I don't know. I think that the offensive coordinator in Chicago. Let me look up his name. I know he's. I forgot what his name is. Um. Oh, they fired. They ended up firing Shane Waldron. Wait, no. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see how the he fares with the new offensive coordinator. I really have not been paying attention to the NFL too much, but been more focused on the NBA. But I mean, I think that that was his main issue was with his old offensive coordinator now. So I mean, I think if they can get that figured out now, that's gonna be huge for him in his development, especially because we've been seeing a lot of inconsistencies really from Caleb Williams, where we're seeing him get like 350 passing yards and then one game with below 200. So Lions Jags here. I don't really know if there's too much to talk about. I mean, something that is definitely a little sad for people who have Brian Thomas in fantasy is that we're obviously not seeing him get a lot of targets from Mac Jones. Um, I think that this is something that could maybe change. I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones in his last outing against the Vikings, it obviously didn't look too well. Really, no one on this Jags offense looked that great, and it's definitely been a very disappointing season, especially for Jags fans. I think a lot of people expect them to be at least like a 500 team right now, sitting at 2-8. Obviously, not even near that. The Lions here are coming off a big comeback win against the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Um, I mean, I think that the Lions, their offense is probably the best in the NFL. Their defense is really good as well. I don't really see a world where they lose against the Jags here. I think that this is probably gonna be a blowout. I mean, you have Vegas favoriting the Lions by 13.5, which is absolutely crazy. And honestly, I don't even think that this line is that crazy. I could see it being more like 15.5 maybe, but I don't know. I think that the Lions definitely win this game. I don't know how much I can really project too much like fantasy wise because I honestly could see this just being the Lions go up quick in the first half and then we're just gonna see them run the clock out really. So all right, looking at the Raiders versus the Dolphins here. I mean, really with the Dolphins, they're coming off a big win against the Rams. Obviously, their offense has looked a lot better. Um, I don't really Tyreek Hill really didn't do too much. Jalen Waddle did pretty well that first half, but I mean, really, I think that the as we go on, the Dolphins are gonna get better as the season goes on. Okay, we got a question: Caleb or A. Rich Ferguson or Knox? I will go. I will go with Ferguson for your tight end just because I think that he's going to continue to get targets from Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, whoever they decide. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Cooper Rush this week. Um, with Dawson Knox, I feel like that's more of like a risky play because, obviously with Kincaid in there. As far as Caleb or A-Rich goes, I think that you're safer going with Caleb. Um, I don't know. A-Rich has just been really bad, and I don't think he has really any confidence going for him right now. Um, but I mean, looking at his matchup too against the Jets here, I think that's going to be a little bit tougher than against the Packers for Caleb Williams. Um, so I mean, that's what I would roll with there. I go with Caleb and Ferguson. Good question though. Um, but yeah, okay. So looking at the Raiders side of things, I mean, it's kind of been the same story all year, really. The only dude you can kind of start here is Jacoby Myers, who's actually looked pretty solid, and Brock Bowers, obviously, probably one of the best tight ends in fantasy football right now for sure. But I mean, I don't, with Minshew at quarterback and just how bad this team's been, it's just tough to project them going out, really. Um, okay, next up, we got the Rams versus the Patriots here. The Rams were definitely a team where people were questioning if they were going to end up trading someone like Cooper Kupp potentially with their slow start. Obviously, they started to pick things up, and they've been looking better ever since they've had their guys healthy. Um, but I mean, as far as this game goes, I do think that the Rams take this one. I think that their offense is really really good, especially when everyone's healthy, and I think it's gonna be really hard for this Patriots defense to stop. Um, I don't really see a world where we see Drake May do too much against the Rams. I mean, I think that it's definitely a possibility, but I don't think it's likely. What's up, Boston? How you doing, man? Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I think just projecting this game, I think you have to go with the Rams here pretty easily. All right, next up we got the Browns and the Saints game here. So honestly, two pretty subpar teams going up against each other. Uh, Definitely a weird start with the Saints, where they were like one of the most explosive offenses, and they really just fell off ever since then. Yeah, I agree with you, Austin. I think the Rams should easily win. Um, and I mean, looking at this game, I think that this is really just the battle of mid here. I really do like what I'm seeing from Cedric Tillman, though. He's looked like a great wide receiver. The Browns coming off a bye week, obviously, this is definitely something that's going to be in their, in their favor with more rest than the Saints, who did just come off a big win against the Falcons. But I mean, I really hope that Jameis Winston like plays well because I love Jameis Winston. I've said this multiple times. And I mean, I really love Nick Chubb as well. Like, these two guys are probably some of my favorite players in the NFL. Um, but I mean, looking at the Saints side of things, Alvin Kamara is the guy you have to start. MVS coming off of an insane game against the Falcons last week. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to continue that production, but like, I mean, look at these projections here without Olave. You got 33 receiving yards for MVS and 18 for Cedric Wilson Jr., 14 for Taysom Hill. These are their leading receivers right now, is what they're saying. Okay. Okay, that, I mean, considering that Carr's projected 204 passing yards, that doesn't really make too much sense. But, I mean, looking here, I just think that the Browns should probably win this game, just with the injuries that the Saints have to go through right now. Um, I really do hope that we see a breakout game from Nick Chubb coming soon because obviously he's on a lot of my fantasy teams, but also I think that he still has it in him, and I think that obviously coming off that injury, it's going to take a little bit of time for him to recoup. So hopefully we see that from him this week. But yeah, I think I still have the Browns taking this one no matter what. All right, now this one should be a pretty good game here with the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, I think that these are two teams that have been playing above expectations. Definitely, I think the Steelers have really been shocking everyone this year. I don't think anyone expect them to be, what are they, 7-3 right now? Is that what they're 7-2. So I mean, it's been kind of crazy for them. Obviously, coming off that really really big win against the Commanders, and same thing with the Ravens here, coming off a win against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Was that was week 10? Okay. So I mean, looking at this game here, though, I mean, I think we're going to continue to see Lamar just be the best quarterback in the NFL, undoubtedly. I think that Derrick Henry is also probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. Just about ask your thoughts on Pickens. Yeah, I mean, I think that Pickens is, once we get to the Steelers, obviously, Pickens has looked like an absolute stud. I mean, the thing with Pickens is that he's probably, I know people have said this over and over again, he's the best contested catcher receiver in the NFL. Um, and I mean, I think that it's, with Russell Wilson, we've really seen him be a very good receiver, getting a decent amount of targets here. I mean, it's just a lot better without Justin Fields as his quarterback, right? And I think that this is what a lot of people were projecting out. Um, Dawson Knox top 5 tight end this week. Honestly, it's very possible. Who are they playing? They're playing the Chiefs. So I mean, it's gonna be. I think that this is probably gonna be a very high scoring affair. It's either gonna be really high scoring or really low scoring. But I mean, I don't think to project him as a top 5 tight end might be a little crazy. But I think he could definitely have a week where he does pretty well. Um, yeah, I think that this is definitely a blow up game potentially for Pickens. Especially here against the Ravens. I think that they're probably going to be battling from behind a lot. So we're probably going to see Russell Wilson's air the ball out a lot against the Ravens, who obviously their defense has looked pretty solid this year. But I mean, still, I think that even if you're getting a lot of passing volume from Russell Wilson, you're going to see majority of the targets go to George Pickens here. I think that Najee Harris is definitely someone who's going to, be a solid running back. I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact on this game, though. But yeah, I mean, really, we're just looking at that Russell Wilson George Pickens connection for this whole game here, and I think that that's going to be on point. Someone like Mark Andrews too is someone who I could see going off. Every game against the Ravens can be a shootout. Yeah, literally every game. Like we look at the Bengals last week, that game was crazy. It's just I think that this is definitely a game that's going to be fun to watch for sure. As far as who I have winning this game though, I mean, I think the Ravens are definitely the more talented team, but I could definitely see a world where the Steelers bring off an upset here. But I mean, I think it's too hard to go against the Ravens in this matchup here. But I do definitely think also with the Steelers being at home, I think that that's something big here, with the rivalry between these two teams. So I think this is definitely gonna be a game to watch for sure tomorrow. All right, looking at the Vikings and the Titans here. Um, what's up, Livewire? How you doing? I think there's really not much to talk about here. I see this about a lot of the blowouts here. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Austin. I just think that game's gonna be really good though. But I mean, I think that with the this game here, obviously you have a very solid team here with the Vikings, obviously coming off that game against the Jaguars, so they were really bad. I don't think that I think that's just an outlier of a game though. I don't think that we're gonna consistently see that from the Vikings, right? I mean, their defense still looked amazing. It was just their offense couldn't really get much going. I believe they had 4 field goals in that game, if I'm not wrong. So, I mean, I think that as the season goes on, we're going to continue to see this Vikings squad be, a very good offensive team. I think Sam Darnold just had a bad week. I mean, looking at the Titans here, there's not really much to project out. Obviously, you had Calvin really did pretty well, or he's been doing pretty well. Let's look at his stats. He's kind of been an up and down player all season, really. Let's see. Yeah, he's been doing pretty well. I mean, we saw kind of like these games here where you have 8 targets, 3 targets, or sorry, 8 targets and 9 targets, 0 receptions, 3 receptions. So I mean, it was kind of bound for him to start having decent games here, just because of the target volume he's getting. Kind of like Garrett Wilson, last year, if y'all remember, he got a lot of target volume, so he was gonna be like, at least a solid receiver. Um, Ravens passes over, I think Pickens. Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a really good game. Definitely probably my favorite game of the week for sure. But I mean, looking back here at this Titans, I mean, you know, I don't know if there's too much to talk about really. I think that the Vikings should easily take this game. Only favored by 6 points and very low scoring from Vegas that we're getting, but I don't see a world where the Titans win this game. All right, next up we got the Falcons and the Broncos. The Broncos are kind of falling off here a little bit. Is Downs droppable? I don't think he's droppable just yet. Um, I think after we see what or how Anthony Richardson comes back and plays with him, then he could potentially be. I don't see a world where Downs is droppable. I honestly think that Downs is probably the wide receiver one over Pittman right now. Pittman, it really hasn't been doing much. Um, yeah, the Titan. Yeah, I mean Darnold. I think that he's been having a really good start in the beginning of the year, obviously. But I mean, I think that he's still going to be a solid quarterback. I think. I think I have a lot of belief in him though. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Broncos here, obviously, last 2 games against the Ravens and Chiefs have been tough matchups for them. Their defense has still looked amazing, but it's really just been what Bo Nix is able to do. Really, that's kind of been, I guess, the storyline for this team. Really, is their defense has been carrying them a lot. But I mean, I think that this is definitely like a game here that if the Broncos want to make the playoffs, I believe right now it said that they were seventh in the AFC, so they're like literally right on the borderline. They're gonna have to want to win this game for sure. Against the Falcons here though, it's gonna be a tough matchup. Obviously they lost against the Saints, um, in their previous game, but I mean, I think that this is definitely a game where we could see this Broncos squad just like really want to dig out a win here. Especially, I just think that this defense is really hard to bet against. Um, and I think that they could potentially give a lot of struggles to Kirk Cousins. Um, but I mean, looking at the lines here, yeah, you have the Broncos being favored by 2 points here. And I think that that's definitely reasonable for sure. I think that, honestly, look at Bo Nix. Look at these stats. I mean, I think that Bo Nix is, he's had 3 consecutive games with over 200 passing yards. So, I mean, I think that he's definitely, like, stepping into his stepping into like being an NFL quarterback, right? And I think that against the Falcons here, this is definitely a game where I could see him getting above 200 passing yards again with a couple of passing touchdowns. Um, I mean, I think that the Broncos probably do win this game. I just think that defense might be a little bit too much for the Falcons, and the fact that they, right on the cusp of making the playoffs, they really need to win this game. Yeah, I think it's gonna be close too. Kincaid or Ferguson rest of season. I would probably say if Dak Prescott, I don't think we've got an official word on Dak Prescott being out the rest of the year. If Dak Prescott's out the rest of the year, obviously you got to go Kincaid. I think even with the risk of Dak Prescott being out, you got to go Kincaid. I mean, I just think that with Josh Allen as the quarterback, you really obviously this offense for the Bills has been pretty spread out for all of the entire season, but I think it's really hard to go against someone like Kincaid and how good this offense is for the Bills when we compare to Ferguson, who's been like in a really bad offense. So, um, okay, Seahawks Niners. This game is also gonna be a pretty good one, I think. Even though the lines say a little differently, but I think that the play really of Geno Smith is kind of going to determine this game. I think that is a tough matchup here against the 49ers defense, obviously. Um, but I mean, I'm really excited to see Christian McCaffrey back in action. Obviously, last week I didn't stream, so I didn't really have much to, talk about with him. He did have a lot of yards from scrimmage though, and he looked pretty well pretty good in his first game back, and it seemed like they used him a lot. Considering that he was just coming off of that injury, or I mean, with his Achilles tendonitis, so has to be yeah, for sure. Um, I mean, I think that the one thing we're really looking at here is kind of like what the roles look like for someone like Kittle and Debo going forward. Um, I think that with Kittle and Debo, I think that there's still guys that are Kittle definitely a tight end one in his respectable positions. I think that Debo Samuel, wide receiver two in fantasy terms. Um, Someone like Brock Purdy, I think that he's definitely a streaming quarterback who you can look at starting this week with how bad that this Seahawks defense has been. I think this is definitely a spot where we could see a Christian McCaffrey blow up game here. Um, and I mean, looking at the Seahawks side of things, coming off a loss against the Rams, I mean, I think that the play of JSN has really been something that I've been liking to watch a lot. Someone like Kenneth Walker, like where he's been kind of projected, or like how he's been projected by the media. I mean, I think that he's a really good running back. Obviously, I don't know. I think a lot of his fantasy production is really dependent on his receiving usage. Um, I'm gonna go here. Like we're seeing this game, three games, three receptions, 24 yards, four receptions, 33 yards, two receptions, 24. But then like there are these games here, like against the Niners, eight receptions, 37. So I mean, I think that if he's definitely a very good player in full PPR, um, and definitely someone you have to start no matter what. Do I see Hawk being top five rest of the season? Yeah, I think so. I think that Darnold will get it back, and I think he'll end up being better for the rest of the year. I think that last week was just a little shaky for him. Pick one flex, one running back, PPR Rico. It's to me. James Cook. I think you go James Cook for sure, and then I will go with Rico with the news coming out that he's going to be having a big role here in Dallas. Even though their offense sucks, I still think that you could still potentially see him get like a lucky touchdown, but I think that he's still going to get a bunch of carries out the backfield. Um, Kincaid and Downs for Amari. My tight end is Hawk. I wouldn't mind that at all, actually. I do think that the one downside with Amari is the obviously like we talked about before with how spread out this Bills offense is. You're not going to get a consistent outlook for Amari Cooper like we saw a couple weeks ago where we only had like 1 point, and then like obviously you're gonna have those blow up games from him. So I mean, I still think that with your tight end being Hawkinson, you could definitely do that because you're getting an upgrade at your receiver spot. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that I would probably do that. Actually, want to look at Amari Cooper's stats here. I like Amari Cooper a lot though. Yeah, like here, 3 yards, 1 reception. I think that there's going to be games where he blows up and games where he's just struggling a little bit there. Um, oh, by the way, this game I think I'm gonna have to take the Niners winning. I think that this game will be a little bit closer than what this line's saying though, but I do think that the Niners are going to win. How do you feel about Olave? Is it just a lost cause with this? I think it's really just a lost cause. I was skeptical about him before the season started. And I mean, I think that if this whole team just stayed healthy, and they were able to play it out, I think that Olave would have been a very solid option in your receiver spot. I just think that it's really just a lost cause with how this year's been. Tucker Kraft or Mark Andrews? That is a great question. I think someone like Tucker Kraft is like trying to think how I put this here. He's definitely a boomer bust type guy. With Mark Andrews, low key, I feel like he's kind of had like a pretty good floor. Um, but I mean, I think either way, I don't think you can be wrong here. Let me see where the Ravens. We just talked about them playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let me look at how Mark Andrews been doing. I mean, I think that Mark Andrews he's been looking pretty good. Obviously, he had that run of games where he was I mean, having a touchdown every single game here. 1, 2, 3. He's had a touchdown 4 to 5 last games. I think you go with Mark Andrews for sure though. Start to D Hop, Tillman, Aaron Jones, Jacobs. All right, this is a good one. I think that um, Josh Jacobs is definitely someone that I would be excited to start. Um, I think you go with Aaron Jones as well too. Um, I would go with those two guys. I think they're going to be more reliable for you, in terms of how this year has been looking. So I think that's what I would do there. Um, but I mean, I wouldn't hate you for starting D Hop based off of how he played. How he's really been playing ever since he got in Kansas City. Past that first game, obviously, he's been looking like a pretty, like a stud, really. I mean, we've been seeing Mahomes throw him the ball a lot. Tillman as well, he's been looking amazing. But I mean, I think that if you want to be on the safer side, you could go with the running backs there. But if you want more upside, I would not hate you at all for starting someone like D Hop or Tillman. Really, I mean, he's been looking amazing with Jameis Winston as his quarterback. Yeah, yeah, I would definitely not hate you at all for starting Tillman. Were you thinking Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs though? Start one in standard non PPR, 6 points per touchdown. Pick up Taysom Hill versus Browns, Johnny Smith, or Hunter Henry versus Rams. I'm not buying Kincaid on IR. Yeah. I think let's see. I feel like I think I'm leaning towards either Hunter Henry or Johnny Smith, honestly. The one thing that kind of attracts me towards Hunter Henry is we've seen those blow up games from him. So that like that potential for him to have like really good games is there. Definitely more of a boomer bust type option. Um, like we've seen here, like 1 reception for 14 yards, but then 7 receptions, 56 yards, 5 for 45, 8 for 92, 3 for 41 and a touchdown. I mean, I think that you probably lean Hunter Henry there too. So yeah, I appreciate the subscription, bro. I really do appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. Yeah, for my two flex spots, I was gonna go Jacobs and Tillman since Jones is coming off an injury too. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate you for doing that at all. I think Jacobs for sure. I would go with and then Tillman as well. He's been playing amazing, so wouldn't hate you there. Ooh, this one's gonna be a good one too. Chiefs versus the Bills here. Obviously, first seed. Tillman is a good matchup. Yeah, yeah. I kind of I messed with you starting Tillman there. Um, okay, so we got the first seed in the AFC versus the second seed. These games are always classics. I mean, I think that this game here, it's either gonna be really high scoring or pretty low scoring. But I think that either way, I think that it's gonna be a close game here. Looking at the Bills, I think that Amari Cooper is someone obviously coming off their bye week here. I mean, I think that or not coming off their bye week, sorry. But I mean, I think that Amari Cooper is someone here that is definitely gonna be a guy I'm watching, right? I think that as the season goes on, he's gonna continue to get more involved in this offense, and I mean, I think he's gonna look better as the season goes on. Dawson Knox, obviously, with Kincaid out, someone that a lot of people are gonna be looking at to start, and I definitely don't think I definitely don't think that it's not a bad option for you guys. Do bet over? Do we always bet over on the Chiefs? Yeah, 100%. I think that this game will definitely be an overtime game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I really hope it is. I honestly, is this a man? They should have put this as a Sunday night football game. Either that or they should have made it. Nah, I mean Monday, Houston, Dallas. You know, even though I'm a Texans fan, a little bit biased there, but I mean, I think that this should have been the Sunday night football game for sure. Um, but anyway, looking at James Cook, definitely someone you got to start every week. Um, the Chiefs side of things, Kareem Hunt, he's looked amazing. Obviously, old and dusty, doesn't matter. Still in the Chiefs, best offense in the league, or one of the best offenses in the league. Travis Kelsey, he's been someone who's he's been really stepping it up lately. You know, as far as his targets and receptions go, obviously, beginning of the year with Rashee Rice, we were a little bit questionable with him, but I mean, ever since Rashee Rice has been out, this dude, he's been amazing. Definitely a consistent guy you can start every week. Um, if I'm 7-3 as a contender, should I go for guys like CD or Tyreek despite their circumstances? Yeah. If you're 7-3, you definitely. I mean, you could look more towards someone like Tyreek than CD. I don't know. Um, CD's long term potential. I think that Tyreek probably has more long term potential just because Tua is obviously just now coming back. I believe this was like his second week back. Um, with CD, I think it's really hard for me to be like, okay, yeah, go trade for someone like him, especially if Dak Prescott's going to be out for the rest of the year. If Dak does end up coming back, though, CD is definitely someone you could trade with if you're 7-3. But yeah, I mean, I think you really have to look at the long term upside of those guys there. Like if you were to ask me whenever Nico was on the IR, if you were like, let's say like 5-1, right? I mean, I definitely would have tried to trade for him there. So let's see. But yeah, I mean, I think that this game, who do I have winning this? I think it's really hard to bet up against the Chiefs here. They're actually the underdogs against the Bills, but I mean, I don't think you can bet against the Chiefs. Um, so I mean, I think I'm gonna have to go with them. But I mean, I this game's definitely gonna be a crazy one in Buffalo. You know, they're gonna want to win this game. And I know the fans are gonna be pretty crazy, but I think that the Chiefs, you know, looking at their record even in close games, they're 7-0 right now. Bills 3-1, definitely not shabby themselves. Uh, but I mean, I do think that the Chiefs are probably gonna take this game. All right, looking at the Colts Jets here. Why is this? I don't know why this one is up here, 12 p.m. Even though, we just skipped it. Yeah, we'll come back to the Bengals and Chargers game. But all right, looking at this game here, like we said before, Anthony Richardson coming back. People like Downs and Pittman, their value right now is probably it's gonna be tanked a little bit. Obviously, we know Joe Flacco. You're gonna see a little bit less passing here with Anthony Richardson. Or I mean, if you do see passing, you're gonna see absolute bombs being thrown to someone like Josh Downs or Pittman or Alec Pierce. Hey man, start two between John Jennings, T. Higgins, Cedric Tillman. I would go Tillman and T. Higgins. I think for sure for sure Cedric. Obviously with this matchup here against the Saints. Um, between Jennings and T. Higgins, obviously T. Higgins is coming off that quad injury. Um, and he's coming off injury really. So I wouldn't hate you for starting Juwan over him, but I think that with how spread out that Niners offense is, and with CMC coming back, I think it's gonna be a little bit harder for Jennings to get targets. So I mean, I think T Higgins is probably your best bet there, but definitely Cedric Tillman. Appreciate the question though. Okay, okay, yeah, we talked about the Colts. Looking at the Jets, their defense has looked amazing. Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson, they've been okay. Well, maybe their defense hasn't been looking amazing against the Cardinals. Obviously, last week they didn't look great. Neither their offense or their defense. It was actually kind of crazy. I believe they didn't really have a first down of 10 plus passing yards until the fourth quarter. Uh, yeah, it's a tough choice. I got you, chicken wing. But yeah, yeah, 151 passing yards for Rodgers, 211 yards against the Texans the week before that, and where we saw them actually win. Um, I mean, it was definitely a little bit shocking to see Rodgers not be able to throw the ball too deep downfield, especially against the Cardinals, who don't really have like that great of a passing defense, really. Um, and I mean, I think that this is something with the Jets that we've kind of been seeing all year. I don't know who the trade team is. Honestly, I don't really know if you need to trade. If you would need to trade for Tyreek. Um, I think that with Mike Evans, he's someone that's kind of like you definitely should keep him. Maybe if you could trade like I don't know, that team is really stacked. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I'm not sure if you really need to do too much there. You could maybe try to flip one of your running backs if you wanted to with Jacobs or Jones. I would hold on to Kamara CMC. Low key, maybe you could trade Kamara though because with the Saints offense, obviously, I know that Kamara's going to get a bunch of this workload, but just I mean their offenses look so iffy. I wouldn't hate you for trading him. But I mean, your team is actually pretty stacked right now. I definitely see why you're trying to get a receiver though, because obviously with Cup, Smith, D Hop, Downs, Tillman. I mean, it's definitely the weaker part of your team here. But yeah, if you wanted to trade for Tyreek, I would definitely try to consider one of those running backs, which is what I'm sure you're like trying to look at right now. Um, and I mean, I definitely would try to go for him right now because I think that Tyreek's value is probably at an all-time low right now, or maybe not an all-time low. I think all-time low was a couple weeks ago, but I think it's definitely at a low in terms of with him playing with Tua. So that's what I'm thinking there. But yeah, I mean, as far as this Jets team goes, I really hope we see a lot more passing volume for Rodgers. Brees Hall, obviously, hope that he can get something going, right? Just overall, this whole offense here, and I mean, they have all the talent to do it. I really don't know why they can't. It's really like this, like the story of the Jets, I guess. They're kind of like they're honestly kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC. I'm not gonna lie. They just kind of like they have all the talent. They just kind of let you down. But looking at who's going to win this game here, I think the Jets should win this game. If the Colts do win this game, though, I wouldn't be surprised. I would think that we're gonna have to see a pretty good game here from Anthony Richardson for that to happen. But I definitely don't think that it's out of the realm of possibilities. Um, all right, next up here we got the Bengals Chargers. So this is a game that the Bengals must win if they want to be in the playoffs against the Chargers here. Chargers really have been looking like a pretty solid football team though. Um, but I mean, I think that this game is definitely going to be a pretty good one, especially considering you got T Higgins coming back. Obviously Jamar Chase coming off an amazing week against the Ravens. Chase Brown as well, amazing week against the Ravens. Literally everyone played well in that game, and it's kind of like what we're gonna see if the Bengals go off in a shootout. We're gonna see Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T Higgins, Joe Burrow. Those four guys really are gonna be the people that you're gonna see absolutely go off in fantasy. Mainly Jamar Chase. And I think that a lot of people have been saying this. Especially when the Bengals had a really slow start for the season. It was to target people like Chase Brown. Actually, before Chase Brown, it was really Zach Moss. Um, and someone like Jamar Chase, obviously, to buy him a little bit lower a couple weeks ago. T. Higgins, just because we knew that this offense was going to be so explosive. And I definitely think that this could be an outing where we see the same thing. Looking at the Chargers side of things, obviously, you look at their team, you're like, all right, they don't have too much talent offensively, right? We're looking at Herbert. He's obviously a great young quarterback. Dobbins has looked great this year. McConkey, it's really the receiving core right now, right? We don't really see any like absolute standouts that like a casual NFL fan would know. But I do think that McConkey's been stepping it up. Quentin Johnson I've liked a lot. Will Disley obviously hasn't really been doing too much, but I think that you're really looking at McConkey having a breakout game here against the Bengals if this becomes a shootout. As far as who's going to win this game, I do think that the Bengals are going to take it. Um, You're actually the underdogs, and I see why. Right? His Bengals defense is like horrendous, but their offense is really hard to stop. So I think that that's why they won this game. I think that their offense is going to overpower the Chargers defense, who has looked pretty good this year, but. Kamara and Cup for Tyreek and Henry. So the thing with doing that trade is that you would be giving up obviously your wide receiver one, and right now you kind of need um more receivers. I think that you're definitely upgrading Tyreek and Cup, and I think that you're upgrading Kamara and Henry. So I mean, you could definitely do that if you wanted. The one thing I would say about that though is I think you would still try to have to get another receiver. But I think value wise, I think you're definitely winning there. That's what I would say. But you would still, if you wanted to get a receiver, obviously have to try to flip another one of your running backs for a receiver. All right, Monday night football game here. We got the Texans versus the Cowboys. The Battle of Texas. I think that this game has the potential to be a pretty good game here. Definitely, I'm gonna be watching. As a Texan fan, I wish that this game was in Houston because I definitely would have wanted to go, even with no Dak Prescott. I think that Texans favored by 7. I could honestly see them winning by more here with Nico Collins coming back. You're kind of really seeing this Texans squad in as like the same team as last year before Tank Dell got hurt, and instead of Devin Singletary with Joe Mixon. And I think that this offense now is going to be near unstoppable, really. I really wish that we saw Diggs, Nico, and Tank Dell in a couple more outings, but obviously injuries kind of ruin everything. And looking at the Cowboys side, I think that the only dude here, I guess you could start Rico after we heard that he's gonna have a bigger role here. CD definitely someone you have to start every week. Jake Ferguson, the thing with him is, obviously against the Eagles last week was a little bit of a tough outing for them. And like with Dak Prescott, we saw him get like a lot of targets for a tight end, and he was just kind of like a tight end eater. I think that basically everyone that did had fantasy football knew that. And with Cooper Rush, I think that he's going to continue to get a decent amount of work. I don't think he's going to get the same amount as with Dak Prescott, obviously, because this offense is definitely going to be worse. So you're not going to see as long of drives. But I think that with this Texans team here, I really like Joe Mixon, how he's been playing. Nico Collins has looked amazing. Tank Dell, whenever CJ Stroud didn't have Nico or Diggs, Tank Dell has been stepping up pretty well here in Houston. Obviously, last week wasn't too much, but I think that he's still a great receiver. Um, let's see, need more receiver depth. Trade a monitor for Higgins and Terry, full PPR. I think that hmm, I think that's a tough one for me. Um, but I think that you're definitely getting a decent amount of value for Monra there. Um, I think if you need wide receiver depth that bad, um, oh, you also have Joe Burrow. Okay, that definitely helps out a lot. Obviously with Higgins. Um, yeah, if you need the wide receiver depth badly, then you could definitely do that. I think that you could potentially get a little bit more for Monroe though. I think I'm someone who probably overvalues Monroe. Um, Obviously with this Lions offense being so good, we're not going to see him get. I think he's going to be a consistent receiver, but we might not see a lot of blow up games for Amonra, like compared to like Jamar Chase, for example, even T Higgins, who's looked really well in the games that he's played. Um, so honestly, I wouldn't mind that trade for sure. Obviously, McLaurin having a little bit of a down week on Thursday Night Football, but I think obviously he's going to be better as the season goes on. And someone you're continuing to look to start, right? So I wouldn't hate that at all, especially if you need the depth. Um, Humber doesn't matter in this basketball. I think I think in fantasy, if you have Higgins, I mean, I think that obviously getting that passing touchdown is going to give you extra points, or to give you 10 points if you're in a normal league. I think that stack would be great. Alrighty, let's see. What do we? Oh, let's talk about this Thursday night football game. Commanders, Philly. Let's go ahead and look at it. Um, all right, so looking at the Commanders here, obviously you have Brian Robinson coming back. I was actually kind of surprised with how many carries he got off the rip. I think that I was expecting a little bit more for Eckler, but obviously that didn't happen. We did see Eckler. Anytime he's in the game, he's going to be like a wide receiver. I mean, 89 yards, 8 receptions. He's getting you seven. Let's see, 0.7. Was that? Is that 17.6 fantasy points there? Off of really just being a wide receiver. Zach Ertz really blew up at the end of the game there. Obviously disappointing outing here for Terry McLaurin, but honestly, I don't think that that's something that's scaring me really. I think that Scary Terry is going to be someone that you know, he's going to have those type of games, right? With someone who's only really projected to get around like, 5 receptions per game. He's going to have to be a very efficient receiver with what he gets, and I think that like right here, 5 receptions, 113 yards, 5 receptions, 125. And those games where he doesn't get those receptions, and he's not being a very efficient receiver, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him. But I mean, I think that he's definitely someone you still have to start every week. Um, and I just think that really what we're looking at here from the Commanders is I think that they definitely could have won this game for sure. Definitely like a. It was interesting when they didn't go for that field goal. I understand the reason why you wouldn't want to go for your field goal. I mean, I think you kind of have to take the points there though. Um, and I think that Dan Quinn obviously just being a little bit too aggressive there. I think that if he gets that field goal, obviously you don't it'll be 13 to 12 there. Let's say the Eagles come down and they get the touchdown like they did with Saquon. And then Washington gets the touchdown like they did. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different outings that you could see here. But I think that they really should have went for that field goal there. Um, if I can't trade down, I'm going to drop him for Kyler because I don't know how this. Yeah, how is Kyler Murray on the waivers in your league? I would definitely drop him for sure. Kyler Murray is definitely. I'd say he's probably top 6 quarterback for sure. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Eagles side of things here, really was sad that the birthday boy didn't get any touchdowns here. 4 receptions for 29 yards. PPR rest of the season, Debo and A-Chain or DK and Bijan. Probably, I'd probably lean towards, DK and Bijan. Um, really because I don't know. I don't think that Debo really hasn't been doing much this year. Sadly, I have him in a lot of my leagues, so I'm really rooting for him to do well. Um, but A Chain's definitely a beast as a running back, right? DK Metcalf is someone who's actually been pretty well this year, in my opinion, and Bijan Robinson's really stepping it up this towards the end of the year right now. So I think you got to go DK Bijan. Questioning Jaden over Kyler rest of season two. Um, yeah, I think that you're probably going to see. I think Jaden's probably better rest of the season over Kyler. Um, Trade Monty for Kenneth Walker. Um, I would probably hold on to Monty. Um, I don't know. I'm not too much of a Kenneth Walker. Um, like I don't really. I'm not very high on Kenneth Walker really. I just don't know if I like him. Um, so I think that um, that's kind of like my mindset there. I'd rather have Monty, especially with how good that offense is, and he's going to get a consistent amount of touches. Just trade Debo and A-Chain for DK and Bijan to me. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I was thinking too. Um, I think Bijan's definitely RB1 rest of the season, and yeah, Debo just too many people to feed, right? So, I mean I like that trade there for you. Okay, but looking over here, yeah, like we said, Devonta Smith was a little bit sad that he didn't get too much on his birthday. Um, Probably because I bet on him. But anyway, looking at someone like Saquon Barkley, obviously RB1 rest of season, him, Derrick Henry, Bijan, um, names like that, they're going to be very good for the rest of the year. Jalen Hurts obviously got that little tush push touchdown to give you guys some extra points there. I mean, he looked pretty solid against the Commanders here. I was definitely hoping to see a little bit more passing volume for AJ Brown. Um, Rank these three rest of the season: Kamara, Mix, and Brees. Um, I think you go Kamara, Brees, and then Mixon. Especially with Nico coming back, I think that we're gonna see less for Mixon. Um, Brees is just so talented, and Kamara is just gonna get so many receptions out of the backfield from Derek Carr. So you say Mixon, Brees Hall, and Kamara. I mean, I was thinking about it. I just think that it's gonna be a little bit tougher for Mixon with Nico coming back. Um, I still think that Mixon's definitely a dude that you kind of have to start. No matter what, I think he's definitely an RB1 rest of the season. Um, and that's what I was low key thinking for them. But I don't know. I think that I think Brees is just so talented, and Kamara's just gonna continue to get receptions out the backfield. But obviously with that Saints offense, it's definitely a little questionable. Um, Knox or Taysom Hill? Give me Dawson Knox for this week. I really just don't like that Saints offense. Backyards. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But anyway. So as a dude who had a AJ Brown, and I am an AJ Brown truther, was a little bit sad here. They only got 5 receptions, 65 yards. Um. But I mean, you live and die by that, I guess. AJ Brown is definitely someone who you're expecting like yards per reception to be at like 20 ish. Maybe not 20, that's a lot, but like 15. But he was kind of close to that. I was expecting really him to get a lot more workload from this Commanders passing defense, which really hasn't been looking like too stellar in my opinion. But I mean, I think that Goddard, he looks pretty good. Definitely someone whenever AJ Brown and Devonta were out, he was definitely a very good tight end. So it's not surprising to see that he gets a pretty good game here. Do you think Kamara and Cup for Saquon and DK would work? Probably not, right? Um, yeah, probably not. Especially how good Saquon just did. I think you'd be winning that trade by trading Kamara and Cup for Saquon and DK. I would send it over just to see what they would say. But I don't really know if he would be able to do that. You have Jay Nails face Hurts, AJ Brown, Smith. I'd say you escaped. Yeah, I would agree. I think this was definitely a matchup here where we could have seen AJ Brown and Devonta do a little bit more. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. Um, so yeah, I think you escaped for a little bit there. And obviously Jaden Daniels didn't really have an absolute stellar game. Really not a lot of rushing yards either from him. I was expecting a little bit more rushing volume from him there. Or Kamara and Cup for H-Chain and DK. Um, Kamara, Cup, H-Chain, DK. I think A-Chain is better than Kamara. Looking at Cup for DK, I think Cup definitely takes the Cup there. Oh wait, takes the Cup there. What is? I don't know why I said takes the Cup there. I need some water. Hold on. Getting a little dehydrated here. I think that I actually like that trade for you. I like A-Chain a lot more than Kamara. As far as DK and Cup, I think that I would lean Cup a little bit more, but I do think that DK is definitely a solid receiver rest of season, especially with I think the really that Seahawks passing defense is so bad, so we're gonna see them probably playing down a lot of games, and obviously Geno Smith. Um, if he gets 300 passing yards per game, then we're going to see a lot of that volume go towards DK Metcalf. So I think that's kind of like what I think there. All right. Man, I think this game would have been a lot different though if the Commanders went for that field goal. When I was watching that live, I was definitely a little frustrated because they went. It was 2nd and inches. They ran the ball, got stuffed. 3rd and 1, ran the ball again, got stuffed. 4th and 2, Jane Daniels fumbles the snap and then runs it towards the outside. Obviously, doesn't pick up the first down. Um, I understand like 2nd and inches, running the ball for sure. 3rd and 1 is definitely another spot where you have to run the ball, but I think that if you don't get it on 3rd and 1, you just got to take your points there, especially down 2 points. And in the late stages of the game. Sutton or Ridley and Texans or Dolphins defense. Between Sutton and Ridley, low key. I think it's gonna be a little bit more of a struggle here for a little bit more of a struggle for the Vikings with the Titans with the Vikings defense. Um, as far as the Broncos go, they're matched up with the Falcons here, so definitely a little bit more favorable. And Sutton's, been I'd say a pretty solid receiver in fantasy. Obviously with Bo Nix stepping it up, really we've seen Sutton be his number one target. So I think that I think you probably lean towards Sutton there. Texans or Dolphins defense, ooh, that's a tough one. I think either way you can't go wrong there. Um, I think as far as sacks, you're probably going to see more potential from the Texans. Let me see. Is Will Anderson playing? Unspecified. Okay, we don't know if Will Anderson's playing. But I think either way, you probably lean towards the Texans defense. Actually, I don't know though. I mean, I think either way, you can't go wrong there. I think that obviously this Raiders offense is super sucky, and the Cowboys offense with no Dak, super sucky as well. Um, I think you probably go with the Texans defense though. Tough one there though. Good question, Jeff. Traded Dell for Devonta Smith. I like that a lot. I don't think Dell's gonna really get too much action now with Nico back. I think we're probably gonna see. There's definitely a world actually where we see him kind of look like how he did last year. But I think Devonta Smith is definitely someone you can buy low right now. But yeah, I mean, he's I think we're gonna go back to seeing kind of like these type of games here, where we get 3 receptions, 40 yards, 1 reception, -3 yards, 5 receptions, 62 yards. I think it's gonna be more like kind of like these games. Um, I don't know. Tank Dell was someone that I thought was gonna have a lot more upside this year with like 100-yard games potentially. Like he's had one, but I thought he was gonna have a lot more. Um, rest of the season, Auden or Hawkinson. I think that either way, once again, you can't go wrong there with either option. I think that you probably go with Auden though, because there's less people to feed in Tampa, and we've seen Baker just absolutely target Auden a lot. Obviously Mike Evans is coming back soon, but I still think that Auden's gonna get a lot of the targets here. Um, Dallin Downs is now known droppable. I would say Downs you could drop for sure. I don't think you drop Tank Dell just yet. I'm kind of interested to see how he plays with Nico coming back. Um, like I said, I don't think that there's a good I think there's a higher percent chance here that we see him bust a lot of weeks, but I do think that there's a slight chance that we see kind of Tank Dell and Nico like how they looked last year whenever they played together. It was definitely something to monitor to where you could start both of them every week. So I think that you definitely hold on to Dell for now. As far as Downs goes though, I think that you could probably drop him. I kind of want to see how he looks this week with Anthony Richardson, but once again, I think that his confidence is just absolutely shot after being after being benched to Joe Flacco. So, what should I do with Jordan Mason and Brian Thomas? Mason, I would say you can drop. The only reason why you would hold on to him, obviously, is because he's a great handcuff running back. Um, and Brian Thomas Jr. definitely. So with Brian Thomas Jr., he's gonna be someone who's, um, it's gonna be hard for him to produce with Mac Jones. Obviously, last week was very sad. Especially me because I also have Brian Thomas and I started him. Um, I think you hold on to Brian Thomas though, because I definitely do think that there's a world where he could potentially get a connection going here with Mac Jones. Um, and I mean I think that Trevor Lawrence once he comes back, Brian Thomas and him will have a pretty good connection. Um, Hopefully he comes back soon, obviously. But I think that you hold on to Brian Thomas. Jordan Mason you can definitely drop if you want. I don't. He's not going to get anything with CMC coming back. He hasn't had one game with Nico Diggs or not. Yeah, I mean, well, he had that one game when neither of them were playing. Obviously, he had over 100 yards. I think it was like 126 or something like that. Um, the only reason why, yeah, 126. The only reason why I wouldn't drop him, like I said, is because last year, um, let's see. Let's just pull up. Wish it would show me his game by game last year. See if I can figure that out. Receiving. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to here is that he's whenever him and Nico were playing together, he was definitely a viable option in fantasy. So I think that there's a potential that we could see that. Should I put in MVS or Pittman? Low key probably MVS. I mean Pittman's a tough guy to start here. And MVS obviously last week had an absolute, a pretty good game, breakout game. So I think that I don't know though. Obviously, MVS is going to be more of a risky play because there's a potential we could see him get nothing at all. Um, but with Pittman, you're probably not going to see him be getting like, I think at max he probably gets like 15 points in fantasy this week at max, right? But with MVS, you could probably see him get like up to 20. I think Pittman's you're probably gonna more likely see him get like maybe 8 points, 9 points here. So kind of what I think there. Kind of crazy that we're saying MVS over Pittman, but do you see Dobbins being a top 15 rest of the season? I know Gus is back, but I still see Dobbins being. Yeah, I think that. I think Gus will get a decent amount of snaps, but I don't think it's going to be, too much. I think that Dobbins is still going to be seeing the majority of the workload, especially with how he was playing without Gus Edwards in the lineup. Josh Allen goes on the bye week 12. Should I pick up Stafford or Herbert? Let me see if I can look up their matchups real quick for week 12. No, let's just do this. Week 12 Rams. Rams week 12 are playing the Eagles. And then Herbert week 12. I think both these guys are kind of sorry, I don't know why I'm looking up Herbert. Chargers week 12. I think both these guys are what's the word? You start them by matchup really. So Chargers playing the Ravens, Rams playing the Eagles. I mean, I think both those games are kind of tough ones. I think I think based off of how they played this week, I would go off of that. But I mean I think I'd probably lean Stafford just with how good he's looked with both Cooper Kupp and Puka healthy. I know last game really he didn't do like too much, but I think he'll bounce back. I think it'll be. I think that, and I think with that matchup there, I mean, I think week 12 against the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a shootout here. But yeah, I mean, like I said, 279, 298, 293 passing yards. You're really hoping to get passing touchdowns as well, but I think that, you'd probably go Stafford there. Going forward to Najee Harris. Probably Najee. Um, you think having Jamar, DK, and Puka is enough to win it all? For sure. Yes. Jamar is wide receiver one, probably for fantasy right now. DK's probably I'd say mid end wide receiver two. Puka definitely wide receiver one as well, in my opinion. I think that target value is going to be something that is going to be hard for other people to. It's going to be hard to deny that receipt the volume that he's going to continue to get. Trade Derrick Henry and Amon-Ra for Bijan and Jefferson. Harbaugh saw he said three-headed backfield with Keanu Mitchell coming back, and I'm scared they're lowers. Yeah, definitely something to be concerned about there. And honestly, I don't know. I mean, the thing with me is I think that um Derrick Henry's someone I have been questioning with his age the whole season. Obviously, as playoff time comes around, they're gonna want to sit him a little bit more. And as far as Amon-Ra, definitely someone who's gonna be a consistent guy. But I mean, Bijan and Jay Jettas, they've been looking amazing right now. So I really wouldn't hate you for doing that trade at all. Um, and honestly, I would probably pull the trigger on that. That's a good question though, because that's a pretty big trade there. So appreciate the question, man. Um, yeah, that's kind of like what I think there. Um, here. Okay. Um, starting Richardson this week because Murray on a bye. Wish me luck. Yeah, I wish you luck, bro. I wish you luck. I mean, there's definitely that rushing upside for sure. You could definitely steal a rushing touchdown from Jonathan Taylor. So I mean, you got that going for you. I think that's really what you're relying on there. But yeah, I mean, tough for Anthony Richardson owners right now. I don't know if I draft. I think I drafted Anthony Richardson in some best ball leagues, but I didn't draft him in any of my free draft leagues. But yeah, I've been feeling that pain in the best ball leagues. I thought he was gonna have a breakout year this year. He's been doing really nothing. So, um, trade Achane and London for Mixon and Jefferson, half PPR. Low key. Since it's half PPR, obviously Achane and Mixon's values change a little bit there. Achane's values go down a little bit. Like if it was full PPR, obviously Achane would get more points for reception. Mixon would, doesn't really get much receptions out the backfield. Um, as far as you comparing London and Jefferson, I'd probably rather have Jefferson rest of season. Between Achane and Mixon, um, I think that's probably a toss up there. I would probably like the Mixon and Jefferson side of that trade, so I wouldn't mind you for pulling the trigger on that at all. Um, can JT be a top eight rest of season? Yeah, I think so for sure. He's talented enough to do it. I really just think that it depends on how this Colts offense looks with Anthony Richardson, and obviously it hasn't looked too hot whenever he does play. But I mean, I think that Jonathan Taylor is someone that I've liked for his entire season or his entire career, really. And I mean, I think he's going to continue to get these games 114 yards, 105 yards. The only thing really that sucks is that you kind of want him to get that rushing touchdown. Otherwise, this is only 11.4 fantasy points. Um, and really, he doesn't really get too much at the backfield receiving wise. So it's kind of what you're looking at there. But I mean, I think he definitely has the potential to be top eight rest of the season. Harrison Bucker's kicker, he's hurt. I have Jake Moody, but I don't trust him. Uh, should I take Evan McPherson? Yes, pick up Evan McPherson for sure. Um, I think that was just a rough week for Jake Moody, but he's definitely been a dude that he hasn't been super consistent, and I think I'd rather just have Evan McPherson because I like the Bengals offense a lot. Can I drop Jonathan Brooks? That's been something I've been questioning myself as well. I think I'm holding out on him for a little bit. I think that I don't know. I really hope we see him do something soon with the Panthers. Like I think that he's definitely a good enough running back to be starting for them, right? Obviously with Chuba Hubbard, I think that that's kind of the reason why they're holding him back right now. And they don't want to rush him, obviously, with him being a rookie. So I don't think you drop him just yet. I think you give it a little bit more time, but I think that I'm definitely on the stage of dropping him as well. So, hey, got to start one out of really ETN and Amari Cooper PPR. Probably go with Amari there. Especially with no Kincaid this week. I think we're gonna see more targets go towards Amari. Um, Obviously Ridley's been doing really well too, but he's going up against the Vikings here with a tough defense. So I think that matchup wise, you probably go with the Bills versus the Chiefs game here, which I think is going to probably be a pretty high scoring game here. So I go with Cooper there. Kareem Hunt or Brian Thomas PPR. Go with Kareem Hunt for sure. I think Brian Thomas is a tough dude to start right now with Mac Jones as his quarterback. Good questions though. Good questions, guys. But yeah, I think that Kareem Hunt is definitely someone that has been surprising me and a lot of people. I wonder when Pacheco is gonna come back. I definitely think he will, but I think that it's not gonna be for another couple of weeks here. They're not gonna rush him back, especially being 9-0 right now. Tillman or Jerry Jeudy? I go Tillman for sure. Dude, Tillman's a beast right now with Jameis Winston. Like, let's look at the last couple of games here. Cedric Tillman. Let's see. So we've had 11 targets, 6 receptions, 75 yards, touchdown, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns, 81 yards. I mean, these are all games with Jameis. I believe. I don't think that Deshaun was starting this game. Yeah, this was Jameis. So I think that he's definitely a dude that you start over Jerry Jeudy. Especially considering that they're in the same offense here. I thought Jeudy was gonna be the wide receiver one whenever we saw Amari Cooper leave. But Tillman's been stepping it up a lot. Would you trade Hawkinson for Mike Evans? Or are you worried about the injury? No, I would do that trade for sure. Especially if you're looking for the playoffs in fantasy, I would definitely do that trade. Kareem Hunt or Najee? I'd probably go with Kareem Hunt. Better offense. Gonna be a fun matchup here. Najee Harris also in a pretty good matchup. That's probably gonna be high scoring against the Ravens. But I think that you probably go with Kareem Hunt. Obviously, he's a workhorse running back in this 9-0 Kansas City Chiefs team with a great offense. So, kind of what I think there. Alrighty, drink some water. I'm getting thirsty. All right. Okay, let me see some A chain here. We've been getting a lot of A chain questions. I just want to look at agent stats. How he's been doing. I think he's probably a running back one rest of the season with Tua back. I say a lot of people are RB1s rest of the season, but I mean I really like A chain. Really because of his receiving usage. Um, he's kind of like a running back receiver, which is why someone like him, Bijan Robinson, um, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler. I mean, those guys are like wide receivers in running back form, so that's why I like them a lot. 4 and 6. Should I trade Aaron Jones? if you're trying to, I wouldn't say not necessarily. I think Aaron Jones he's definitely a RB1. No, okay, let me stop saying RB1. He's definitely like a mid to high end RB2 rest of the season. I don't think that there's a reason to trade him. Obviously, he's coming off, you know, he's definitely the workhorse running back in this offense. So I don't think that there's really any reason to try to look to trade him. Um, I think he's a really good running back to go to every week. So, man, did y'all see that Mike Tyson fight yesterday? That was so sad. I don't know why I stayed up until like midnight to watch that. I really wanted Mike Tyson to knock out Jake Paul though. That was kind of that was the wish. But after that first round, I just saw him and he was just like standing there like a still target. I was like, yeah, it's not looking good. But definitely wanted Mike Tyson to win that. I think it's tough though. Whenever you're 59 years old or 58 years old, you're trying to box a 28-year-old. So definitely was the match before that though. The two girls that boxed, that one chick definitely got robbed. I don't know how she lost or how the judges gave that to her, but that was like my first time ever watching watching boxing there. But it was a fun. It was definitely fun. Would you drop Mason for Jalen Warren? The the thing with Jalen Warren is that we're really not going to see too much of him. With Najee, um, and I'm not. Like obviously you're gonna see more of Jalen Warren than Mason, but I'm really wondering like if CMC goes down, we're gonna see Mason obviously step in and be in that RB1 role. Um, and so I really think that he's a good handcuff back, like I said before. Um, I think you could do that potentially if you're trying to look to start someone. Like if you're gonna start Jalen Warren off the bat, then you could do that. I think that if you're not gonna start him, or if he's just gonna sit on your bench, you could probably just keep Jordan Mason. Because I don't know if anyone's gonna pick up Jalen Warren in your league. So I mean, if you're looking to start someone, then you can definitely do that. But I think that um, Jordan Mason, I don't know. It's tough for me to say about that one. You know. I think if you're looking to drop someone, if you're looking to drop Jordan Mason, and you want to start someone, then you can definitely do that for sure. Or if you're trying to do a trade where you trade one person, you receive two guys back, and you need to drop someone, you can drop Jordan Mason there as well. Um, so I think that's just kind of like how I see Jordan Mason really. Um, do you think I should move Rashad Bateman for Tucker Craft? Tucker's at flex and have Mark Andrews at tight end. Um, you could. It looks like a Bateman. Like previous to that to Bateman. I know Bateman's obviously he's been pretty solid this year. Uh, the thing with the Ravens receivers though is it's so like it's pretty like you're gonna see these games here like one reception 28 yards, three receptions 25 yards, but then you're gonna see a game here like six receptions 54 yards and a touchdown. Um, and then obviously with Tucker Craft, um, we're kind of seeing he's been playing pretty consistently as well. Um, this will load. He's been looking pretty solid too. Four receptions, 34 yards. Three receptions, 78. Three for 33 and a touchdown. Touchdown there as well. Two receptions, 13. So I mean, either way, I don't think you can go wrong. And considering Tucker Craft as a tight end, you're probably the value for Tucker Craft is probably higher than Rashad Bateman. So I think I would probably do that. Um, if you really wanted to, I'm sure you could probably trade Tucker Craft for a different flex spot and get like more value than you would for Rashad Bateman. Just because he's a tight end. So okay, we gotta close all these tabs now. Alrighty. Good question, those guys. Having to think on these. Use a lot of brain power, you know? So I have to drink a lot of water. Let's see, we're an hour 20 minutes runtime. How much longer do I want to go? I think I'll go at least 10 more minutes. See how many more questions we'll get. And then we'll go from there. We'll go from there. Let's see. Do I need to change my fantasy teams? I don't even know. I haven't looked at my lineups in forever, so let's see. I guess since I haven't looked at them since like Tuesday, so let's see if anything's changed. No. I think I keep that like that. Is Dawson Knox gonna do anything this week? I think he could for sure. Obviously with Kincaid out, we could definitely see a lot more targets for him. So I mean, I think there's definitely a possibility, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Dawson Knox be a pretty viable tight end this week in fantasy. So kind of what I think there. I got you clutched. Thoughts on if I should start Brock Purdy or Joe Burrow? I have Jamar Chase too for stack, but can't decide. I would go Joe Burrow. Obviously with that stack, it's definitely helping my decision out a lot there. But I think you still go Burrow over Purdy just because I think that he's the better pocket passing quarterback. Even though obviously Purdy has a lot more weapons. Actually, I would say they have like almost the same amount of weapons really to throw to. Should I trade Kraft and Gabe Davis for Tank Dell? Uh, I would say, yeah, you have Hawkinson as your tight end, right? Um, no, Andrews. You have Andrews as your tight end. I would probably do that because you already have your tight ends, so you're kind of just trading your backup tight end and a receiver you're probably never gonna start for another receiver who you probably will never start, but he's definitely an upgrade over Gabe Davis, and I mean I would say, um, you could definitely do that for sure. I got you, McLevin. Are Gus Edwards and Justin Hill viable running back options as Warren is super out? Um, I have Tracy and Chuba and bye this week. If so, which one would you play? Between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, low key, probably Justice Hill, just because we're gonna see more passing volume for Justice Hill, obviously. Um, and obviously we've seen those games for Justice Hill. Let's go ahead and look here. Ravens. There you are. Just pull up more and pull up the stats for the for some of these games. Obviously, yeah, like right here, you're not going to get a lot of rushing attempts, but you're kind of really relying on this receiving usage here. 3 receptions, 43 yards, 1 for 14, 3 for 44 and a touchdown. Um, definitely he's either going to have a really good game or just absolutely do nothing. The thing with Gus Edwards, though, is obviously he's coming back from injury. So, I mean, you could definitely look at starting Gus Edwards for sure. Obviously, with how bad Justice Hills really looked. He hasn't really been doing too much, so I wouldn't hate you for starting either one. I think I would probably lean towards Gus Edwards though. Um, I think you're probably gonna see more snaps for Justice Hill just because obviously he hasn't been hurt. But with Gus Edwards, I think you could potentially see more or higher upside for him. But I don't know though. I feel like I'm kind of leaning towards Justice Hill just because I feel like that receiving usage is just it's hard to deny that. So it really doesn't really get that much receiving usage. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that I'm probably leaning towards Justice Hill just because Gus Edwards coming back from injury. Lamar, Brees, Nico. Oh, this is A. Okay, Lamar, Brees, Nico, D Hop, B. Amonra, Reek, Purdy, James Conner, QBs, Purdy, Stafford, Kyler, wide receivers. Okay, I gotta take a lot of this in. All right. Am I telling you which one's better? Um, Probably. All right, Clutch. Give me a little bit more background on this question here, and I got you. Tight end is interesting. Starting Brock Wright from Detroit. Yeah, I think that tight end spot right now is definitely something that we can look at. Should I trade Cedric Tillman and Jerome Fords for Josh Jake? Yes, yes, 100%. 14 people watching. Yeah, that's actually a lot. I think that's probably one of the most we've had in a while. So appreciate all you guys for checking out the stream. The Ravens might have a slower day against the Steelers. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That Steelers defense is gonna be tough. Thank you, subs. Appreciate it, Eli. Please help me, Cedric Tillman or DK Metcalf. Um, in all caps too. I got you, bro. So the thing with Cedric Tillman, obviously he's been doing really well with Jameis, so we're kind of really relying on Jameis Winston to do good. With DK Metcalf, I think you're probably going to see a higher floor for him. I think that you know, Cedric Tillman's gonna have to continue to be kind of like a receiver that's a lot better than what a lot of people were projecting out when we started the year. Obviously, I think you go DK Metcalf there though. Monty or Walker rest of season. I think that you probably go Monty. But like I said before though, I think you asked me this before. Trade Monty for Kenneth Walker. Um, like I said before, I'm not too high on Kenneth Walker though. I don't know why. I really just don't like Kenneth Walker. I think that he's definitely. I think if you were to ask most people, they would say Monty. I mean Kenneth Walker, just because he's in just like one running back instead of running back by committee with Jimmy Gibbs and Monty, obviously. So I definitely want to hate you for doing that trade. Should I drop Brian Thomas for Jacoby Myers? Not yet. Not yet. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is too good of a talent to drop him for Jacoby. I think that you could drop someone else on your team maybe. Don't you have Jordan Mason, right? You could drop Jordan Mason for Jacoby, I think. Okay, so for that trade, I'm giving side B and acquiring side A. I really like Lamar's upside and Nico Collins has that potential, so I'm wondering if I should do it or if I'm giving up too much consumer base. Okay, I got you, Clutch. Let's look at it again. Um, so you're giving side B and acquiring side A. So you're getting Lamar, Brees, Nico. Wait, giving side B. You sent me the trade again. I'm kind of. I feel like I'm not reading this right at all. Um. So. Why am I reading? I'm reading it like side A is Lamar, Brees, Nico, and D Hop. B is Amonra, Reek, Purdy, James Conner. Oh, okay. So okay, I see now. Giving side B, Monra, Reek, Purdy, Connor. No, I wouldn't say you're giving too much. Yeah, I think side A is probably better. Um, Actually, probably for sure better. I mean, Lamar's best quarterback in the NFL right now in terms of fantasy and probably real life too. Brees Hall, great running back. Nico Collins, he's gonna be wide receiver one when he comes back. Diop's looked amazing. I think side A is probably better. And time travel agrees with me. I don't know how to say that first word. I mean, I'm not good at pronouncing things, so clutch. All right, now you're good. No worries. Who gets more points this week, Jonathan Taylor or Brees Hall? I think probably Brees Hall. I think that Taylor, it's going to be a little tough for him with Anthony Richardson as his quarterback. I think he's still going to get a lot of volume. Um, and honestly, I could see a world where Brees Hall literally gets nothing, like we saw last week. So I still think that Brees Hall probably gets more though. Yeah, we got you clutched. But I think that Taylor and Brees are probably going to get around the same ish. Once again, though, with the Colts, you're probably going to see more volume for Jonathan Taylor just because they don't have as many weapons as the Jets do. So I think you can't go wrong either way. Oh man, that was a lot of questions in like 10 minutes there. Okay. We are locked in, huh? Um, Nick Chubb or James Cook? I'd say James Cook until we see Nick Chubb really kind of step into his own. I don't think he's we're seeing the prime Nick Chubb we're really used to. So I wouldn't start Nick Chubb until we see that game where he gets, you know, like 100 rushing yards with a touchdown. I don't know when that's gonna happen. I really hope soon because I do have Nick Chubb. But I think right now you have to stay with James Cook. Devonte Adams has had so many targets. Oops. Devonte Adams has had so many targets, but still looking to trade him. What's a good target? For Devonte. So if we're looking at Devonte, I kind of see him as like a. What do I see him as? I mean, with the games he's played, he's definitely a wide receiver one talent in terms of fantasy. Um, and I like yeah, like 13 targets, 6 reception, 31 yards, 11, 7, 91, and touchdown. I mean, I honestly think that he's probably gonna be fine looking forward. What you could get for Devonte, I'm not too sure. Maybe if you could like snag like a Debo Samuel, maybe I don't know. I'm not very high on Debo Samuel though. Maybe if you could potentially get, I don't think you can get Drake London. Um, DK Metcalf would be interesting for sure. Maybe, um, or maybe if you could package him for someone. That's what I'm thinking. One more question. Do you think Brees' performance will progress? I think he's had so many opportunities. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if the Jets, it really is dependent on the Jets. Like if they've given up on the season yet. Like as a team, like if they just have no motivation to play. But I mean, I think that if they haven't, then Brees Hall is definitely a dude you have to start. Because I mean, and no matter what, I think he's a dude you have to start. But I think that he's just yeah, like his talent and the opportunities he's getting. Cook's playing the Chiefs. Yeah, I know, but I think yeah, and you have Nick Chubb playing against the Saints here. What is he projected? 60 rush yards, 10 rush yards. Yeah, so the thing is though with the Chiefs games here, I think that this is probably gonna be a high scoring game. Um, even though they have a tough defense, I think that the over on this points is probably gonna happen. If you want to lean Chubb though, once again, I don't hate you. I'm just really waiting for that week where he just breaks out. And then once that happens, I think I'm gonna start putting in my lineups. I just don't know if I can do that just yet, but I definitely wouldn't hate you for starting Chubb over Cooks if you needed it. Do I trade Mike Will and Michael Pittman for George Pickens? Yeah, I would do that. Um, I don't think you need too much analysis here. Sorry, but I think Mike Williams obviously had that one touchdown. Michael Pittman not going to be able to do much. George Pickens definitely a dude that's wide receiver. I'd say like a wide receiver two rest of the season. Brock Bowers or Njoku this week? Probably Bowers. Um, yeah, I go with Bowers. I think that Bowers is going to be one of the main dudes in this offense. Obviously, with Njoku, obviously he's also really good receiving tight ends. Like here, 7 targets, seven. He's gonna get the targets. So I mean, either way, I think that you're in a great position to start either dude here. I just would probably lean Bowers. Um, got you clutched. Also, do you only stream once a week? Yeah, I only stream once a week just because of my schedule with school and basketball and trying to handle that out. Sometimes I don't even stream because of I had it last week. I had a game on Saturday, so that's why I wasn't streaming last week. But yeah, I think once basketball season is over, though, I'm probably gonna end up streaming a lot more. But yeah, I'm trying my best. All right, we are at an hour 35. I'm thinking like, hmm, thinking like a solid like 10 more minutes here, 10 to 15. Um, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's see what we're looking at here on my other league here. Um, is Josh Downs droppable with Anthony Richardson coming back? I think I talked about this before, right? I don't remember. But what I said was, I think that you can definitely look at dropping Josh Downs. If I had him, I would kind of be interested to see what exactly Anthony Richardson does with him. But I think that you can definitely look at dropping him after this week if we don't see anything from Richardson. Um, Especially with that move being quote unquote permanent. But I don't know. They also said that they were going to start Joe Flacco for the rest of the year, but they didn't. So, kind of like what I'm thinking there. Let's see. What do we have? Yeah, I think that this is fine. Actually, do I start Pollard or Chubb? Y'all think Pollard or Chubb? Who do you think's the better guy this week? Pollard is playing the Vikings. Chubb is playing the Saints. I'd probably go Chubb just because of that matchup. And the Titans really do suck. So got offered Olave and Cooper for Downs and Jones. Like you're getting Olave and Cooper for Downs and Jones. I think that that's definitely an interesting trade that I you could definitely look at accepting that for sure. Yeah, you go Chubb. All right, I'm gonna keep Chubb then. Yeah, okay, then I mean I definitely would consider doing that. Especially where you were talking about how your running backs are really good, right? Don't you have like CMC and let's see, I can scroll up here, find it. You're 7-3. Oh yeah, you got Kamara, CMC, Jacobs, Jones. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Since you have that running back depth, I won't hit it all. And I do think that there's definitely still a world where we can see Olave be a good receiver. Um, it's just been a really tough season for the Saints. So, kind of what I'm thinking there. Ooh, Coach Prime. Coach Prime's winning right now. It's Utah. I wonder what the scores of the other games are. I know UT's winning. With Pacheco coming back, does Kareem stay relevant? Nah, I don't think so. I think that once Pacheco comes back, we're probably going to see like a Jordan Mason type thing where Kareem's not going to get much of the backfield at all. I think maybe like he might get Pacheco might get worked into the backfield, so we might see a split for like a week or two maybe. But I think that after that, I really don't think that Kareem's going to be able to do too much. Um, yeah, it's kind of like what I think there. I could definitely see a world though, because the Chiefs do like to. I could see where they split Kareem with Pacheco, but I don't think that he's gonna get a lot of the snap count there. Um, oh man, when is Pacheco coming back? Is he coming back? He's coming back soon. I know he is. 21-day window. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that once he comes back, I don't think Kareem's gonna have too much of a role, but um, so he's not gonna be back till like fantasy playoffs, really, huh? We're week 10. He's gonna be back at most week 13. Two limited practices this week. Okay, so I mean, he's most likely gonna be back really soon. But yeah, like I said, I think that he's probably gonna be worked into the offense. I don't think he's gonna have he's not gonna come in and be a workhorse running back. I don't think so. Traded for Pacheco, Mike Evans to get ready for playoffs. I don't hate that at all. If I was in your shoes, if you're like 7-3 and up, then I think for sure you trade for people like that, especially with how low their value is, and if they're on teams that are like 3-7 or something, and just trying to avoid to do the fantasy football punishment in your league. I definitely don't hate that at all. Man, it's kind of crazy that we're already more than halfway done with the NFL. I feel like this is kind of how it always goes. I feel like it's because of I really think it's because of those Thursday night football games because you only get like a 2 day break from Monday night football, and then you got Thursday night, and then you get Friday and Saturday 2 day break, and then Sunday night, and then Monday night. So they all the games come pretty quick in my opinion. I'm acting like I'm a player or something. No, I just like watching football. I wonder when this camera's gonna die. We're at one bar. We're at one bar battery left, guys. I think last time we lasted what was it, 2 hours and 10 minutes before the camera died, and then it froze on my face, like right as I was signing off the stream. So we'll see if that happens again today. That'd be pretty fun if it did. Back to back weeks. Let's look at some college football. Ooh, Georgia Tennessee's gonna be going today, 6:30. Probably gonna be tuning into that one. Oh, I thought it just died. Oh man. All right. Well, it is officially 1 hour 45 minutes in. I think it's safe to say that today was a successful stream for sure. Answered a lot of questions. Had a lot of fun doing it too. Drank a lot of water. I think I'm on my third water bottle today. No, wait, am I my? Yeah, it's my third water bottle this stream. But anyway, I really do hope, or I do appreciate you guys for checking out the stream, and subscribing and whatnot. It really does help me out a lot. So yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. Definitely was a fun one for sure. Hope you guys learned a lot, and hope you guys helped. I hope I helped you guys out a lot. So, see you guys in the next video, or in the next stream, I guess. My next video will probably be out either Thursday, Friday, Wednesday. Don't know. It'll be about the NBA though, so I don't know how much you guys will be interested in that. But all right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate y'all.